I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please hold while Brady gets the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, August 31st, 2023, with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations: the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at this university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. With that, Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will take it away with our first roll call.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone here tonight. Abadir. Atchison.
Here.
Ayers. Biggs.
Here.
Blood.
Here.
Broughton.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Cupp.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Duntz.
Here.
Fogel. Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Hartzell.
Here.
Heatherman. Hoffmans.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Kamen. Kidd.
Here.
Knisley. Kinsey.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher. Moore. O'Malley.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Pondillo.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Rios.
Here.
Rivard.
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Syed Carly.
Here.
Syed Nick.
He's here. He's out.
Here.
Salmon.
Here.
Spindler. Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Williams. West.
Here.
Wingert.
Here.
And Wolf.
Here.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Brady. We'll now move into our first open period. Brady?
So our first open period speaker tonight is Noah Clayman. If you will make your way forward. She's going to explain a project that she's going to be working on with us this semester.
Hello. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Noah Clayman. I'm studying anthropology here at K-State. This semester, I'm taking an ethnographic methods course, which requires me to pick a subculture here in Manhattan and conduct ethnographic research surrounding that subculture, and then develop an ethnography surrounding that particular culture throughout the semester. After brainstorming some options, I kind of fell into Student Senate being a fun subculture here that would be accessible and interesting to study this semester. And this would involve me conducting participant observation ethnographic research, which would entail me attending Senate meetings on Thursdays, as well as potential committee meetings and other events that may occur this semester. At some point, I will also be conducting interviews with Senate members that wish to participate. It is completely voluntary, so if you ever wish to not participate in an interview or another research activity, feel free to let me know. And if you do choose to participate, you will remain anonymous. Unless for some reason you don't want to remain anonymous, just let me know. As of now, this research will only be conducted for this class's purposes, but in the future, I may wish to get it published in a peer-reviewed journal or non-peer-reviewed book that the professor that teaches this course compiles towards the end of the semester. And yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
Awesome. Are there any questions? Senator Griffith.
You said an ethnographic survey, correct? What's that?
Ethnographic research. So ethnography, it looks a little different today, but in the past when anthropology first started becoming a thing, it's pretty much going and living with the culture for 6 to 9 months and studying them and kind of figuring out their ways of life. Today, you know, I'm not coming and living with you guys for 6 to 9 months, instead just kind of looking at what the culture of K-State Student Senate life is like. And yeah.
Are there any further questions? Senator Glasscock.
Would you be able to describe kind of the process you came to for deciding to do your research on the Student Senate?
Yeah, I was just brainstorming a bunch of different accessible communities in Manhattan. I knew I didn't really want to focus on a religious community, which is more common to do, I feel like. And then I thought about Greek life, and then there was just some issues with that since I'm not involved in Greek life. And then my friend is here in Senate, and so after talking with him, I was like, oh, maybe Senate, and then reached out to Kate, and then she gave me a lot of information. So yeah.
Chair Broughton.
Will your research be done solely on Senate and like the legislative branch, or do you plan to like spread out into other branches of SGA?
I'm not entirely sure yet. So one of the fun things about ethnography as a research process is it's not like the regular scientific research processes, you know, where there's more of like you have your hypothesis, you know what you're studying before. I'm kind of having to go into this not knowing what I don't know yet. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question fully or not, but.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next open period speaker we have tonight is Shauna Mitty, if you want to make your way up here.
I do want to remind everybody that when we have guest speakers come and give their time to speak to us, to please have your computers closed and be giving your full attention to our guests. Thank you.
I have some handouts. You guys could just, and I'll be back next week for the pizza. So how many of you know that we have a cancer research center right here at KCA? Wow, that's more than most. Good job. Pass them around. I have a PowerPoint here somewhere. But I'll just start with letting you know that we had a marketing class, a graduate marketing class last fall, break up into 3 groups, and their final was to do a marketing project on how to market the Johnson Cancer Research Center. And what they found out from surveys and calls and things like that, 90% of the people at K-State and in the Manhattan community didn't even know. Sorry, thank you. Oh, didn't know we were on Zoom. Didn't even know that we have a cancer research center here. So we were really surprised by that. And I was challenged to come up with some kind of a fundraiser, number one. Number two, we just need to get awareness out. And so here we are. I'm Shanna Mitty. Next. And so we're a basic research center. We have over 70 members from different walks of life, different kinds of cancer research. So it's not just breast cancer, it's not just colon cancer or skin cancer or pancreatic. They all do a little bit of everything. And of course, we're looking for prevention first, looking at formation, improving diagnostics, and also looking at anti-cancer drugs and safer therapies such as chemo, can really have some really bad side effects. How many of you in here have either had cancer or know someone that has? Okay, almost the whole room. So this is a really important subject. We're also a nonprofit, so we're totally private donors, and we're trying to take a leading role in conquering cancer in our time, spark innovation among our faculty, inspire students to pursue and excel in science and cancer research. And like I said, we're conducting basic research. So it's with small molecules, it's in biology, it's in biochem, it's in chemistry, and gosh, we've got even people in ag doing things too in the vet center. So once we come up with something that can move up the chain, then they can do clinical research with human beings. So if we don't find things at this level, they can't move them up, and they can't find better everything that I just said. So why do we need money? Studies cost a lot of money. And for our researchers here, they need to have some kind of pilot starter money to be able to move up and get federal grants. So we provide awards for faculty, for students. All the equipment costs a lot of money, and just the operations of the Cancer Center. So these are some of our research awards, and we're a little bit different than other universities. So if you're a freshman at KU and you go into biology and you know already that you want to go into research, well, you're not going to be able to get into a lab until you're at least your junior year. Here at K-State, if you qualify and you figure out what you want to do already and reach out to one of the faculty members that is doing research in what you're interested in doing, they'll let you in the lab right away. You'll get hands-on experience right away, which is really important. So we give these graduate awards so that maybe you don't have to go out and get a second job because you're going to be in the lab working. And we also have graduate cancer research awards for the same reasons. Faculty, somebody comes up with something really innovative, we'll award them money. Travel, we just had a researcher go down to southeast Kansas because they were investigating water down there. They've had a lot of cancer in that area, and so they went to look and see what they might find there. So we give awards for the travel and the researchers they're taking with them. So on to the initiative. Sorry, I promised it wouldn't take up too much time. So we've come up with WG10-2C, which means Wildcats give 10 to cure cancer. So how many of you have given money for cancer research in here? Good job. How many would like to give money for cancer research? Well, I always get hands. I'd like to give it, but I don't have any money. I'd like to give it, I don't have any money. So the idea here is to be inclusive with students, with faculty, with scientists, with supporters all around. The Wildcat Nation is huge, right? We've got so many people in alumni, in athletics, in academics, everywhere. So if all of us could give $10, or if half of us could give $10 and feel like we were a part of the research, that's what we're trying to do. We want to make it affordable for everyone, and if we come up with something amazing and cure some kind of cancer, I would love to feel a part of that. So, next please. So these are pictures of, most of these are athletic hands, believe it or not. We came up with, we want everyone to be able to give, everyone in the community, and everyone should have a hand in it. You see what I did there? Work with me, people. Okay, next. So what it is, like I said, the JCRC is a hub that supports faculty and students, hopefully may lead to improved prevention, diagnostics, and treatments. So this initiative is going to start September 23rd, which is a home football game. I believe we play UCF, and it's supposed to be a really good game. And why? Of course, we need funding, but that's not it. And how we're going to advertise. We have no money for advertising. So the idea behind this is basically public service announcements, social media, share, like, you know the deal, and a word of mouth. Just tell anyone that you know about this. That would be great. So the first person I approached about this was Dr. Frank Trace, the band director. And he was awesome. He's like, yeah, we got to do something about this. We've got so much cancer in this world and so much in our family. And he goes, you know what? We're going to do on the 23rd at halftime, we're going to spell out WG10-2C. And I said, oh, that would be awesome. And because we want people to go, what does that mean? And, be curious and have their phones out and be able to give right off the QR code and have Venmo and Apple Pay and everything, PayPal, credit cards, whatever. Just make it easy for them. So that was super cool. And like I said, number one, we're trying to raise money. Number two, if we don't raise any money, we need to just raise awareness that we have a cancer research center here at K-State and be proud of it because they're doing good things. And yeah, the goal is the cure starts with us. Oh, and I didn't tell you, this is a really good part of this. So I've gotten all these 30 to 60-second videos from prominent, respectable people around Manhattan community, K-State, such as Coach Tang, President Linton's wife, which it was just announced that he was diagnosed with cancer, General Myers, the list just goes on and on. Laura Kelly, some of you may not like that in here, I'm not sure, but she is our governor. So she endorsed us today. And so anyway, we're gonna have all these little video short clips and put them on our website, have the people that actually did the videos share them. If you're in athletics, gosh, what's his name? Taylor Brock, he's the football recruiting coordinator. He's got like a ton of energy. Anyway, he's got over 40,000 followers on Twitter. So if he can retweet it and everyone can see it like that. And if you guys would follow us, the things that I sent around, if you'd go to cancer.ksu.edu and we have
The speaker's
Instagram.
time has expired.
Oh man, it's rough.
Senator Atchison.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. You have 5
Thank
more
you.
minutes.
You're so sweet. You guys are really strict in here. Okay. So anyway, if you can go to our website, find out more about us. If you have questions, I'm on there. My email's on there. Our director's on there. You can email us or call us, anything like that. And if you could follow us would be big because we don't have a huge amount of followers. But if we can just work as a Wildcat family to increase all of this and we all just give a little, we're looking at numbers instead of dollars. So that's my point. Any questions?
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Atchison.
Have you ever thought about reaching out to organizations like Cancer for College or organizations that actually give to cancer survivors like myself or like places in colleges that are looking to research cancer?
No, I don't think we have, to be honest.
If
you have information on that, I would love you to share it with me. I've got a card in here, but Or you can get on the website and find me there.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, that'd be great. Anybody else?
Are there any further questions? Senator Glasscock.
First of all, thank you for coming in. This is like a great cause. I really appreciate that you come and talk to us about it.
Thank you.
Are there any particular projects or equipment or grants that you all are trying to use this funding for? Anything in particular that we can use as like a selling point of, hey, this is like particular things that this money would be going towards?
Well, it would be going towards everything. If you get on the website, you'll see we have over 70 members, faculty members that are a part of the Cancer Center here. And most of them do totally different research. And so you can kind of dig through what they're doing. Some of them have just got some pretty big grants recently. If you get K-State Today, there'll be some stuff coming out here soon. So yeah, if you just push that, that would be good.
Senator Kenzie.
Hi. Is there a particular fundraising goal you hope to achieve this year?
That's a great question. So this, I forgot to tell you, this is the inaugural year, so we have no idea what to expect. But looking at the population of students, alumni, and our community, like I said, I've been reaching out to Kansas, familiar people in Kansas. I haven't got Eric Stone Street yet, but anyway. Our goal is 200,000 right now. So we didn't want to make it too high or too low. So like I said, I have no idea where we're going to land, but with all of you here, if you could share this. Like I said, it doesn't start till the 23rd, but there'll be some sneak peeks coming up here. And if you pay attention at halftime on the 23rd, if you're at the football game, people are being like, what is that? So hopefully you can share what I've shared a little bit here.
Awesome. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Our final first open period speaker is Corey Williams.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? Good. All right, call and response. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? There we go. That's a little better. All right, perfect. So, my name is Corey Williamson, Executive Director of the K-State Student Union. And then I also asked Peyton, and is everyone familiar with Peyton? Okay, very good. So Peyton Lynn, she's the president of UGB. And so I wanted to make sure our entire team here was familiar with Peyton's face as there's any questions or any suggestions, recommendations as it relates to the union. I want to make sure that you know that Peyton is a great person to connect with, and myself as well. So always feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any thoughts or questions about the union. But I also asked Peyton up here to help me with a quick moment of trivia. So I have a couple of guest cards I would love to hand out to anyone that can answer these questions. And I'm actually going to allow you, if you don't mind, I know we asked them to shut their computers down, but you're more than welcome to open up your computer or your phone, go to union.ksu.edu, and you should be able to very easily and quickly find the answers to these questions. So also, I know there's a placard system, so maybe we can use our placard when you have the answer, and then I'll let you all kind of manage that. Yes, if you don't mind, appreciate it. All right. All right, so question number one. What are the union's building hours? What are the union's building hours? Like I said, cheap when you can. There you go.
Senator Biggs.
7 to 5.
7 to 5? Sorry. So sorry.
Senator O'Malley.
7 to 10.
7 to 10 on what days?
Let's see, Monday through Saturday.
All right, so we're missing a day. What else we got? All right, let's get 2 cards out there. I mean, if they got called, let's get them a card. Thank you.
Emerging Leaders Coordinator Navarro.
Sunday, 11 to 10.
There you go. Perfect. All right. It took 3, but we got there. We got there. It's perfect. All right. Yeah, give him a hand. Give him a hand. That's beautiful. All right. All right, let's ramp it up a little bit. What year was the Union opened? What year did the Union open its doors? Oh, look at that.
Chair Long.
1956.
Perfect. There we go. Give Chair Long a hand. There we go. All right. All right. We are on the last one. Those who had a chance to experience the pizza today, the pizza came from Hunt Brothers. I am not that easy. But, where in the Union is Hunt Brothers located?
Senator Heatherman.
In the basement?
I'm gonna take that, just because the location is correct. Absolutely. Official terminology for that area of the building?
Chair Suchanek.
The bowling alley.
Well, let's give her a hand. There we go. I'm gonna not make this a trick question. We're gonna refer to it as, yes, the bowling center next to the esports location are officially on the lower level of the Union. All right. So very good. So thank you all for participating. Give our winners a hand one more time. Perfect. Thank you, Peyton. Yeah, I'm in good shape now. Appreciate it. All right, but I really just wanted to come and just welcome you all back. 3 years ago was a really difficult time frame, and Jacob gave me the privilege of reliving that experience on Monday when I did a presentation for the Student Service Fee Committee. When we were going through that process, it was right after the initial days of COVID, right? And so there were some limitations that we had to work through, just like everyone else did. But that was a really difficult time for a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons is that we didn't have you all in the building, in the Union, enjoying the space. And so when I experienced the energy that came back to campus on late night in the Union, Student Activities Carnival. Student Activities Carnival had the highest attendance since 2014. Think about that. Yeah, give yourself a hand for that. Give Sarah, Amy, and Ashley a hand for that. They did a phenomenal job preparing for our students coming back. And so with that, I wanted to be intentional this week and potentially next week of just going around to all of our student organizations that I can and just saying thank you for being here, welcome you back to campus, express our appreciation by at least providing at least one night where you can have a warm meal. Some of you, probably this is your second or third time with this meal, so my apologies, but nonetheless, we're doing our best to welcome you back. So I just have a couple of quick slides I want to run through just to give you an overview of who the Union is, what we're about. Our mission overall, this is to serve all. Students are our number one priority. And really what it's about is fostering a sense of well-being and belonging in an inclusive community. I talk about the Union all the time as the one place on campus where everyone is welcome, right? We have a variety of places where I'm sure everyone is welcome, but this place is intentional for you all. I was introduced earlier this week at an event, at a student organization meeting, and I think they referred to me as the man that owned the Union. Not quite, but I can say that about you all. The Union is the students, right? This is your space. This belongs to you. You all give upwards to about $1.5 million, a little over $1.5 million, to our operation budget to help us continue to provide the services to our entire campus and to our campus community. So I want to express appreciation for that. Our guiding principles ultimately are to engage. When our students come to campus, freshman year, second year, we want you to get engaged. And then hopefully through that engagement, we want there to be education that takes place, both inside the classroom, outside the classroom. We learn more through those organic conversations, sitting across from each other during lunch, doing dinner, than probably anywhere else on campus. And then also, before you leave campus, just like everyone in here, we want to make sure that you are empowered. And we want you to feel like you have made a difference on this campus and then prepared to make a difference in the community that you're going to. So let's go to the next slide. So, few ways that we are intentional about fulfilling our mission and our guiding principles. First of all, student development. That's our number one goal, right? Community. We want to build community well-being. It's important and critical that we provide quality service. Financial stewardship. We are the stewards of the operating dollars that we create that are generated through our services, but more importantly, we are stewards of the funds that our students provide to the union through student service fees. So stewardship is high on our list. And then we want to make sure that you have a quality facility that you can take pride in. So student opportunities within the union. Student leadership, we have dining dollars. Who's familiar with dining dollars? Let's make sure. All right, very good. I'll have Peyton do an open forum next week to talk more about that. Derek as well. All right, study space, student leadership, esports arena. Another show of hands. Who has had a chance to experience the esports arena? Okay, we got some work to do there. We're gonna make it happen. Particularly since this is the group that funded that effort through SCTE funds. It's important that you all go down and take a look at the product that was produced based off of the support that you all provided. So please be intentional about that. Bowling and billiards, student employment. We are looking for employees right now. We have several areas that we need to fill some vacancies. So if you have friends that are looking for a place to work, the union is a great place to work, particularly because we are incredibly flexible when it comes to student schedules. Obviously, lounge spaces, meetings and event spaces. We actually have, when our meetings are not in use, we have set that space aside for private study space or for group study, okay? So whenever you're in the building, you see a vacant meeting room, you need some quiet, go to our reservation office, which is on the second floor, room 214, ask them for a study space, and then they'll let you right in, all right? Wildcat value menu, we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I'm trying to make sure I don't get the 10-minute timer. I should have turned my timer on. All right, so Wildcat value. Reason why I bring this up, because this is a direct result of conversations with folks in this room. I believe Marcus was a part of that conversation. I remember that. So when I first arrived, the first thing I did the first day is I had lunch with our students. So I believe I had UGB representatives, UPC representatives, SGA representatives, probably a few other. And one of the top things that they brought to my attention is that we had just finished a renovation. I want to say 2017, we had celebrated renovation. I arrived in 2018. And there was a lot of pride in the building. But the concern is that when you go to any of the units within the building, there wasn't an affordable place to grab something to eat. And so that was really my first kind of focus and mission when I arrived. And so we were able to establish a Wildcat value concept. At the time, 2018, we was able to get all of our vendors to provide a meal for $6 or less. All right, things have changed over the last couple of years. Obviously, inflation, food costs have gone out the roof.
Speaker's time has expired.
Sorry.
Chair Long.
Which is going to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes. Okay.
I hope I don't need 10 minutes, but
10 more
thank you
minutes.
so much. All right, so longer story short, at this point, these are our Wildcat value concepts, but I highlighted a couple because we still have 2 units in the building that are $7 or less, right? All of our units are less than $8, so that's what we were able to continue to work with. But that pizza you just ate, we are still able to maintain at least one value concept at less than $6. So when you need that quick meal, I believe that comes with a slice of a chunk of pizza, some potato chips, and a beverage. So once again, I think that's an incredible value for a quick lunch, a quick snack, right before you come to the SGA meeting. And then that's also the space in the building that probably has the longest open hours because they're open while the bowling center is open. So I know you all typically have a break. I don't know if it's at 8-ish, 9-ish. I'm not sure when it is, but if you're looking for something, if the Cat's Den isn't open, the bowling center is typically open around that time. All right. Also wanted to highlight another area that was brought to our attention of need is student organizations did not have a consistent place to get a full pizza for their events and their programs. So once again, Hunt's Brothers Pizza, those price are obviously reduced by a certain amount. All those pizzas are full toppings, whatever toppings you would like to have, and then obviously you have your wing section there. So we have an option for pizza for our students within the building now, which we did not have over a year ago. I think that might be All right, so also wanted to speak briefly about CSI. As I know Sarah Hyman wanted to be here today, but she has been putting in a lot of time and effort and work, so she had a much deserved vacation this week. And so she wasn't able to be here, but we were the ones that talked about the pizza, so appreciate CSI's partnership in that as well. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I said I didn't want another 10 minutes, but CSI, these are the services that are offered through CSI. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. And we're talking about bringing CSI and UPC together to create some synergies around staffing, resources. We can go ahead and go to the next slide here. One of the things that is important for myself and our leadership on campus has been, I would like the union to be seen as the starting point for student engagement. I've talked about the food service, I've talked about the other services that we offer, but as I said earlier, student development, student engagement is at the top of our priority list. And so this collaboration, I think, sets the union into a space where we can definitely have that as our focal point and our focus. We talked about staff efficiencies already. There's some resources that will be available in-house from the union that can help support our SGA, our student organizations, and CSI. But then also, I look forward to having more conversation around greater resources that can help with student engagement. So we'll continue that conversation. So phase 2 is really going to be a conversation with the folks in this room that are interested in being a part of it. Union Governing Board, who is the governing body for the union, made up of 14 students, 2 or 3 of which that are from this body here, but we're inviting as many that we can have attend our meeting. September 8th, I want to bring in leaders from each branch of SGA. I asked UPC to be there as well, and UGB. And we're going to talk about kind of what led to where we are now, so it's a little bit more robust discussion around that. But we also want to talk about, how we want that space to be branded and identified, right? And so we want to have further conversation there. Potential resources, I think some of these conversations will happen in the spring when we start talking about where are the collaboration opportunities? Is there opportunity for creation studio, craft space, community building lounge? What type of equipment, if we did anything out of that space, that we could use as checkout? So didn't want the second 10-minute marker, so I got a little quick at the end there, but I am happy to receive any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming to speak to us.
Thank you, everybody.
Are there any further first open period speakers? Awesome. Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed on Tuesday along with the agenda and the legislation tracking information. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Chair Blood.
I move to approve the minutes unanimously.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Awesome. We will move into announcements. First, the Emerging Leaders Program recruitment is in full swing. Our wonderful Emerging Leaders coordinators have requested that we all refer people into this wonderful program. The referral link is linked in the announcements. 2, proxies. If you're going to be absent from Student Senate meeting, please fill out the link, even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. Same goes for if you're going to miss the first half or the second half of Senate, to make sure that you fill out that form. And remember that you can only serve as proxy for one person. so you can't be the proxy for more than one. 3, if you will be physically absent from Student Senate and would still like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the Student Senator Zoom request form. Speaker Thomas will review the requests based on the Student Senate attendance policy. 4, want to give props to someone in Student Senate? Fill out the Senate shoutout form, and Speaker Pro Tempore Kappelman will read them at the end of the meeting. Shoutouts are very fun, so please fill them out so he has something to read. Next, the Member of the Week is Hannah Hartzell. Hannah co-authored a piece of legislation the first week back to Senate. Thank you for your hard work and continued dedication to the students, Hannah. And then there's the upcoming events calendar on there. And the quote of the week is, "A leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be." Rosalind Carter. Now we will move on to our commendations for the evening. First up, we have Resolution 232422. Is there a motion to consider this resolution or commendation? Senator Porter.
I move to consider resolution 22. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. May the author please come forward.
Resolution 232422. Commendation to the Kansas State football players drafted into the National Football League. Authors Jolene Griffith, sponsors Brian Blood. Whereas on April 27th through 29th, 2023, the 88th Annual National Football League NFL Draft took place in Union Station in Kansas City, Missouri. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs received the 31st pick of the first round of the NFL Draft. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs selected Felix Enudike Uzama, a defensive end from Kansas State University, KSU. Whereas the Indianapolis Colts received the 44th pick in the second round of the NFL Draft via a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. Whereas the Indianapolis Colts selected Julius Brents, a cornerback from KSU. Whereas the Tampa Bay Buccaneers received the 181st pick in the sixth round of the 2023 NFL Draft via a trade with the Indianapolis Colts. Whereas the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Josh Hayes, a cornerback from KSU. Whereas the Dallas Cowboys received the 212th pick in the sixth round of the NFL Draft as a compensatory pick. Whereas the Dallas Cowboys selected Deuce Vaughn, a running back from KSU. Whereas Felix Enudike Uzama was named as the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year for 2022. Deuce Vaughn was named as a unanimous All-American for the 2022 season. Whereas Julius Brents was named as a first-team All-Big 12 for the 2022 season. And Josh Hayes was named as a second-team All-Missouri Valley Conference for the 2019 season. And whereas the Kansas State University student body wishes Felix, Julius, Josh, and Deuce good luck and success in the NFL. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association gives a hearty congratulations to Felix Enudike Uzama, Julius Brents, Josh Hayes, and Deuce Vaughn, and hope they do well on their respective teams. Section 5, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution will be sent to Felix Enudike Uzama and his family, Julius Brents and his family, Josh Hayes and his family, Deuce Vaughn and his family, Assistant Director of College Scouting for the Dallas Cowboys, Chris Vaughn, Kansas State University football coach, Chris Kleiman, Kansas State University Director of Athletics, Gene Taylor, and Kansas State University President, Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Cuesta?
It says section 5. I think it should say section 2.
It should. We have that marked down. Chair Blood?
Will you please remove line 52?
We can also do that. Are there any further Senator Glasscock?
On line 49, changing NOS to Kansas.
Good catch.
And on line 1, commendation seems to be the incorrect font.
Good catch.
Senator Kermer.
Line 17, can we add in between round and the?
Can we add a comma?
The word of.
Round.
Yes.
Are there any further? Senator Kidd.
Obviously you're a kid, but yeah, so, sorry, so, obviously you're, so line 50, did we already have that climate correction?
No.
Okay, can we correct the spelling in climate, please?
As you can tell, spelling is not my forte.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 22 unanimously? Senator Porter.
Obviously, Porter.
I will make new name tents for next week.
I move to approve Resolution 22 unanimously.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, Resolution 22 will stand approved. Up next, we have approval of appointments. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 23? Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider resolution 23.
Is there a motion to consider Resolution 24 before 23, as none of them are down here yet?
I rescind my motion.
Senator Dennis.
I motion to consider resolution 24 before 23.
Second.
Now, is there a motion to consider Resolution 24? Senator Glasscock?
I move to consider resolution 24.
Seeing that, will the author please come forward?
Resolution 232424, approval of new student senators, authors Brian Blood and Evan Porter, sponsors the Senate Operations Committee. Whereas there's currently one vacancy for the position of student senator for the College of Business Administration, whereas Katie Zacko has the highest vote total of eligible and willing candidates in the 2023 SGA general election in the College of Business. Whereas there's currently one vacancy for the position of Kansas State University Salina Aerospace and Technology Campus, KSU Salina, representative to Student Senate. Whereas Henry Kirshen was nominated by the KSU Salina student body president in their capacity to fill the vacancy. Whereas there's currently one vacancy for the position of Faculty Senate representative to Student Senate, and whereas Deborah Bolton and Murray Streetman were nominated to share the responsibilities by the Faculty Senate president in their capacity to fill the vacancy. Be it resolved that the following individual, Section 1, the following individual be approved as a student senator for the College of Business Administration, Katie Zacko. Section 2, the following individual be approved as the Kansas State University Aerospace and Technology Campus representative to Student Senate, Henry Kirshen. Section 3, the following individuals be approved as the Faculty Senate representatives to Student Senate, Deborah Bolton and Murray Streetman.
I have a correction for the author. Can we strike line 40 and in line 22 strike Deborah Bolton and change were to was? Deborah Bolton resigned. She is too busy with other things. It was not a scandal. Senator Porter.
In section 3, can you just fix the pluralizations of individuals, faculty senate representatives?
Yep, good catch. Are there any further questions or corrections for Senator Glasscock?
On line 32, I'm not sure if Salina needs to be added after university as it's included above. I'm not sure if that should be consistent.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm gonna go with yes, add Salina in on line 32. Senator Streetman, did you have a correction?
My name's spelled wrong.
Oh.
There's no A in Murray. Well, there's no A in my spelling.
We will get that fixed, and I will get that fixed on your name tent. So, did you mark that in 22 and 41? Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 24 unanimously? Senator Porter.
I move to approve Resolution 24 unanimously.
Second.
Are there any objections? It will stand approved. Will Katie and Murray come down to get sworn in? You guys can stand up here. I'm going to have you raise your right hand and say "I do" after I read this. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Senator and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. Awesome. Will you guys please introduce yourself with name, major, hometown, pronouns, favorite smell?
I already forgot like half of those things, so I'm just going to try my best. My name is Katie Zacco. I'm with the College of Business Administration, and I'm majoring in marketing and sales. Hometown, Wamego, Kansas. It's about 20 minutes east of here. My pronouns are she, her. And my favorite smell is, I don't know, like rainstorm.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Murray Streetman. I already forgot. What is it? I'm not majoring in anything. I try to teach leadership. I see some familiar faces. It's good to see you here.
Hometown, pronouns, favorite smell.
I usually claim Denver, Colorado as my hometown. That's where I was most of my childhood. My favorite smell, I can't stop thinking of it. I love that after rain, like wet cement smell. I think I'm going to go with that. He, him. Anything else? All right.
Okay, now I will seek a motion to consider Resolution 23. Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider Resolution 23. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward? Then you don't have to dig through the stack up there.
Awesome, thank you. All right, folks. Resolution 23-24-23, authors Hattie Polson and Elizabeth Chapman, sponsors Senate Ops Committee. Whereas it's necessary to approve the members of the Student Review Board and Student Tribunal, whereas these positions were sufficiently advertised, whereas applications were made available to all students who showed interest in the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, whereas there were 11 applicants for these positions, whereas the following individuals have been selected by the Attorney General to serve on the basis of their leadership ability, experience, and dedication to serving Kansas State University student body throughout the next term, and whereas these appointments are subject to approval of Student Senate, be it resolved that Section 1, the following individuals be approved to serve as justices of the Student Review Board for the 2023-2024 Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU-SGA term. Tori Ward, Brooke Burris, Abby McCown, Corey Kingsley? Sure. Nicely, thank you. And Britton Hanna. Section 2, be it the following individuals be approved to serve as justices of the Student Tribunal for the 2023-2024 KSU-SGA term. Viri, okay? Cool, babe, thanks. Baraza Rivas and Jeremy Gammett.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Heatherman.
So I see that there were 11 applicants for the position, yet 7 were selected, even though each of these boards is supposed to have 8 members or 4 for a quorum. Can you talk about what things precluded the other 4 people from being selected?
Absolutely. At the end of the spring semester, each boards were indeed full. We had members who were not able to meet on Thursday evenings, people that were selected that then realized what the commitment was and backed out. We are currently in the process of recruiting to fill both of those boards. It is crucial that we do have an SRB board more than it is a tribunal board, as that board's more likely to have cases earlier on. We are actively recruiting. I do have applications sitting in a form that I need to go through, and I'm sure you'll be meeting those lovely people in the next couple weeks. There was nobody that was actively turned away. Those individuals that are not here today chose to leave.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 23 unanimously? Senator Solomon.
Move to approve resolution 23 unanimously.
Second.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, it is approved. You all may come down to get sworn in.
Incredible. Okay, folks. So you all are gonna go ahead and raise your right hand, and then when I finish, you say, "I will." Cool? Y'all ready? I do, is this on? Beautiful. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Student Review Board member and tribunal members, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I do.
Incredible. It's y'all got all that? You ready, babe? Here you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tori Ward. I am double majoring in organizational management and Spanish. I'm from Stillwell, Kansas, which is like the southernmost edge of Overland Park. My pronouns are she, her. And my favorite smell has to be like my dad's deodorant from when you're like little and you like snuggle up with your dad and there's like, oh, so yeah, my father's deodorant.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Cameron. I'm a senior. I am a double major in physics and a secondary degree in international and area studies and a double minor in geophysics and classics. Pronouns are he, him. I'm from the North Chicago suburbs. And my favorite smell, stick to Cardwell after 10.
Hi, my name is Abby McCown. I am a sophomore and I am majoring in biology. My pronouns are she, her, and I am from Wichita, Kansas. And my favorite smell is probably vanilla.
Hi, my name is Britton Hanna. I am a sophomore majoring in electrical engineering. I'm from Chanute, Kansas, which is near Pittsburgh, if you know where that is. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my favorite smell is probably like sizzling bacon on like a cold winter morning.
Hello, my name is Viridiana Barraza. Some of you may know me as Viri. I am a sophomore double majoring in psychology and political science. I am from Liberal, Kansas, and my pronouns are she, her. My favorite smell is peppermint.
All right, cool. My name is Corey. I'm from Sabetha, Kansas. I'm a grad student studying public administration. What else? Like him, he, and my favorite smell are those blue Downy beads. You go to the store, just sniff them up, squeeze it, delicious.
Thank you all.
Okay, we will now move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Lynn.
Pull her up.
Okay, hi everybody. Just as part of my role as DEIB chair this year, I wanted to make a point of trying to be a little bit more active in the DEI sense while we're actually here. So I have this little presentation about how we can combat bias in SGA, so you can click now. So just kind of define what implicit bias means right off the bat. So it's having an aversion to preference for or stereotypes about certain groups of people on an unconscious level. All of us have implicit bias. The goal is to try to combat it while we're here. So hopefully you'll be able to recognize those biases that you do have and then work against them when you figure out what they are. So you can move on. So how does this apply to SGA? All of us are representatives of every single student at the university, all of whom are going to have different backgrounds, experiences, or identities than those of us that are in this room. With 20,000 students on campus, there are going to be a lot of people who are very different than maybe anyone who's here. So we want to make sure that we're still representing those students just as much as we're representing the students who are alike to us. Can you go back, please? Many historically marginalized identities have not been represented in this organization in particular. So we just need to remember the fact that a lot of times this body has been made up of straight white people over the years, and so making sure that we are being good representatives and good stewards of, like I said, the people who maybe don't necessarily look like us. Lastly, it is important to put aside our personal feelings in the interest of what's best for students. So even if maybe you don't like an idea or you have a specific feeling about something, if you think that the students you're representing would be better served having this in place, that's what you need to be going with, not necessarily what it is that you feel. So we're going to disrupt our biases using this framework that I have put together here. Okay, so this is called the PAUSE framework. P stands for pay attention. So if a situation happens and you find yourself having some kind of adverse reaction to maybe the person who was up there, the way that something happened, we're gonna pause, we're gonna pay attention to what happened, survey your reaction, and then try to assess the information and the situation as objectively as possible. Next, acknowledge the assumptions that you're making. So once you recognize that you're making those assumptions, figure out what they are, and then what assumptions did you make about situation and or person. Understand that perspective. So understanding where our bias comes from is a really good place to start when we're trying to combat it. What learned behaviors contribute to these biases, and are those cultural or personal influences reinforcing your bias? So for example, I come from a really small town called Tonganoxie. The demographics and people that I grew up around in Tonganoxie, Kansas are very different than the demographics and types of people you're gonna find at K-State, where there's 5 times as many people on campus as there were in my entire hometown. So obviously, that experience has had an effect on how I grew up and the way that I thought as I was getting to this point. So those types of backgrounds and cultural experiences that you have are informing the lens that you're seeing all of everything through. Next, seek different perspectives. So once we understand what our perspective is, it's important to find others. Consider where that other person may be coming from. Research what cultural influences could have contributed to that situation. Is that person from a different culture that maybe handles things differently than you do, communicates differently than you do, something like that. And then lastly, examine your options. So using these new perspectives, in the future, we're gonna try to make different decisions, consider alternative responses, but most importantly, hold ourselves accountable for the behavior and the biases that we do have. So applying this to our role, specifically in Student Senate, when we're making decisions, especially voting on things that are going to affect students, first and foremost, it's important to use empathy and understand how this is actually going to affect the people who are on campus. Vote as a representative of all of the students in your college and not just yourself. if you feel like you can't do this or you're only going to vote as a representative yourself, it's okay to abstain from a vote if you feel like your biases are going to affect the way that you're voting and you can't set that aside. Lastly, work on getting to know students who are different than yourself by going to MSO or other student organizations events and then valuing and listening to those perspectives. So here are a few just meeting times and dates of some student organizations that I'm trying to work a little bit more closely with this year. So hopefully we can have a better presence among those groups and try to repair some of those relationships that we've had in the past. And then if you ever need to contact me, here's my contact information. Email or text is good. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for Chair Lynn? Thank you. Are there any... Are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? President Stout is going to give a report.
Madam Speaker, the 77th President of the Kansas State University Student Body.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, to everyone in the room, to the administrators, to my fellow student governors, and any guests present, thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address you in this formal manner, and most of all, thank you to the visionaries that had the idea of putting together this State of the Association. I had a hard time determining what it was I wanted to say to you all tonight. I think I've watched about every famous presidential speech and read article after article of most influential State of the Unions and problems facing higher education. My initial drafts were wrought with delicately chosen quotes from men who changed the world. But then I scrapped it all and restarted. My ego wanted me to think that I was an equal to them and that my speech, the first ever State of the Association address at K-State, would be forever etched in the history books. But the truth is, I'm not their peer, and my speech will soon be forgotten. I am just a student. The truth is, we are all in this room, and we all come into it carrying the same burdens, the same worries, the same concerns. Many of us in here are pretty tired. Many of us in here are hungry, maybe not as much thanks to Director Williamson's generous donation of the pizza. And some of us, there's so much going on that we're spending Senate working on homework. And if that's you, that's okay. We've all been there. But we often like to conflate ourselves with the heroes of Kansas State, like Dr. Lane, like President Linton. But the truth is, we are not. Many of you will go on and change the world, but it probably won't happen in this room. At the end of the day, we're just a bunch of students that care about our university. But there is something special about that. We choose to be here because we care. We care. I know that is why I am here, and I know that's why you are all here too. K-State means a lot to me and to my family. My father came to K-State, my grandfather came to K-State, my great-grandfather came to K-State, making me a fourth-generation Wildcat. My great-grandfather, when he came here, he studied civil engineering, and upon graduation began working with the Department of Transportation. In the span of a couple years after graduating, he and my great-grandmother moved over 54 times in 2 short years. working on Kansas highways. And that sounds awful, but it was the Great Depression, and a job in many instances really was the difference between life and death. And thanks to K-State, thanks to Kansas State, my great-grandfather had a job. And really, it's that idea that K-State was founded on. You hear all the time that K-State is the nation's first land-grant university. We're pretty proud of that fact, but what does that actually mean? I'm not sure we talk about that as often. Well, a man named Abraham Lincoln signed into law a bill called the Morrill Act in 1862. And that act would create colleges and universities within the states with a simple mission to improve the accessibility of education for the common man, for the farmer, for the immigrant, for the blue-collar workers, because education is a powerful thing, and for so long it was reserved only for the wealthiest among us. But then that changed, and we were the first university to be that change. That's the land-grant mission that we were founded on. We came along, and then even the everyday common folk, like the Stouts, who had known nothing but farming in Bizarre, Kansas, in a one-room schoolhouse, were able to come to a university, receive an education, and experience a higher quality of life. That is what K-State is all about. The idea of educating people so that they may live that higher quality of life and be better citizens, making a better state, a better country, and a better world. It's that mission that motivates each one of us to come in here and give up our Thursday nights, give up so much time going to the committee meetings, other meetings with faculty and administrators. It's because we believe in that mission and we want to protect and advance it. At least I know I do, but the truth is I can't do that alone. I won't lie, working with other people often is difficult for me, and I think that's the case for many. Jess is laughing. I think that's the case for many in our generation. My class, the senior class, will forever be known as the COVID class. Our senior year of high school was canceled. Our freshman year of college was canceled. As universities opted for masks and Zoom, more students than ever opted to stay home, making us one of the smallest classes Kansas State has had. Those students that stayed home, they either entered the workforce, they took a gap year, they did anything but enroll at colleges and universities. This messed things up here at K-State, and I saw that as soon as I got here my freshman year. I joined Privilege Fee Committee as a freshman, as an at-large member, which, speaking of which, when are those applications due? Nobody in the room knows. September 16th, guys. Tell your friends about it. We need people to be applying. Anyway, aside from that, I got on the Privilege Fee Committee my freshman year, and all I heard about the whole year was this insufficient funds process, the pain of declining enrollment, budget shortfalls left and right, that left the university and SGA short millions of dollars. And to move forward, departments had to be cut deeply, programs had to be cut deeply, and some cut entirely. And I watched the process. I saw the impassioned cries for mercy from both sides of the table. And it hurt to watch. But that pain was felt by those outside of the room too. As college tuition is more expensive right now than ever before, students struggle to make ends meet and continue to be met with a larger student services fee and larger tuition bill from their universities. College gets more expensive, fewer students enroll, fewer students, less university revenue. Less revenue means higher fees, and higher fees will eventually mean fewer students. But it doesn't all stop at enrollment, though. I'm encouraged looking around this room, but for a long time now, we have had a student engagement issue as well. Student organizations pressed for members. Even in SGA, we've often had seats that we try to fill, but continue to fall short time and time again. Our member engagement's on the decline. Our student voter turnout is on the decline. And that does not come without its side effects. As an uninvolved, dissatisfied student body is poisonous to our association and to the university. It reduces our input, as a lack of engagement makes fewer students want to come to K-State, and it tarnishes our output, as unengaged students will become unengaged workers, not beneficial to the workforce. This isn't just K-State, though. It is every university in the nation. I believe that what universities across the nation have experienced in the last couple of years is not just hard times, but a reckoning. Recruiting students to higher education is not as easy as it used to be and will never be easy again, unfortunately. The question I have been asking is this: how can we restore the value to a college degree that makes students want to come to K-State and universities similar? To answer this, we must go back to our land-grant mission of bringing in students, sharpening them, and equipping them to work better jobs and to live better lives, like we've been doing since 1863. Everything we do here must not be inspired by the land-grant mission, but driven through that land-grant vision. Too often, we've been divided by increasing pressure to choose from left or right, leaving a divide in our midst. But I'm here to tell you tonight that there is no left or right. There is only up and down. Up, striving towards our university's mission of bringing in students, bringing them to an affordable, accessible, and valuable education. Or down, which I will not define because I cannot consider that an option. We will move forward and we will move up. There's no denying the fact that we're entering the next generation of higher education, as President Linton has so endearingly referred to it. These problems have affected every university in the nation, but the ones that survive and thrive will be those that think bigger and act bolder. The old is gone, behold, the new has come. Tonight, K-State SGA, we step into a new frontier. Jess and I believe this new frontier starts with opportunity, student opportunity. This is what we campaigned on and we were elected for. We want K-State to be the land of opportunity where students have to work really, really hard to not be successful in their lives. No matter their college, no matter their major, their race, their religion, we see a K-State that is a hub of opportunity for all. And we certainly don't have all the answers of how to make that come to fruition, but we've already started taking steps in that direction. In order to investigate this idea further, the first thing we did was form a director of professional opportunity, Emily Howard, who joins us tonight, a new addition to the executive cabinet. Shortly thereafter, we established fresh partnerships between SGA and the Career Center, something both parties have been longing for. We look forward to the fruits of this new position and the new relationship and the impact it may have on K-State. This new frontier means reimagining career fairs and student access to those events. Next week, I'm sending a letter to the college deans with a special emphasis on the deans of agriculture, engineering, and business, urging them to excuse their students who cannot attend class due to their attendance at their respective career fairs. And while I'm excited to do that, I'm excited to take that step, I'm disappointed that with 9 colleges, we only have 3 college-specific days of career fair. Every student in every college should have exposure to professional opportunity. This is something we'll continue to investigate and fight for. Soon you'll all vote on an amendment to our governing docs that will remove the local relations position from our cabinet and will instead replace it with an external affairs director. This position will be focused on facilitating partnerships beyond just the local area because local no longer describes the extent of K-State's role in this world. One of the first projects of that position, Bentley Talbert, will be the creation of a biosecurity scholars program in coordination with NBAF and other shareholders that will be one of the top 2 in the world, and it won't be 2. This new frontier requires us to think bigger, to act bolder, and our campus is up to the challenge.
The speaker's time has expired.
Chair Cuesta.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 20 minutes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, you have 20 more minutes.
I won't take that long, I promise. The other policy branch of our administration that Jess and I ran on is advocacy. And the role of the executive branch is largely summed up in this 8-letter word. It's our job to tell about students' wants, students' needs, and students' desires, and to bring them into fruition. On Saturday, one way that we will be doing this is by hosting each student body president, student body vice president, and legislative director in the state of Kansas. Why? Because this year, K-State has the honor of chairing the Kansas Board of Regents Student Advisory Committee. You all know the role of K-Board is to govern our state's higher education system. And in 1975, the state legislature decided that that board needed more information. They needed to receive that information from no professional advisors, but from the students that they were representing. So they formed the Students Advisory Committee to represent all students of higher education in the state of Kansas and to tell the board directly what those students want and what those students need. For the first time in nearly a decade, K-State will be the chair of that committee. And throughout my administration, we'll be able to represent not just the students of Kansas State, but over 200,000 students in the state of Kansas. will be able to take their concerns to the Board of Regents each month. In addition to this, we as a university will be leading and planning Kansas Higher Ed Day. Many of you in this room have attended that in the past at the state capitol, where we go and we meet each and every state senator, and we tell them what students need and how they can help. I've already submitted the application on behalf of K-State to reserve the Capitol. Stay tuned for more on that, as Logan will continue to give you updates as that process moves forward. Then in the spring, we will travel with the other Big 12 universities, which the Big 12 keeps getting bigger and bigger. But the more the merrier as we try and fill those marble halls of Congress to do the same thing, talk about what students want, talk about what students need, and help bring that to fruition. We look forward to advocating on behalf of today's students, which we all know will be tomorrow's workers, thinkers, teachers, leaders. May we set them up here at K-State to be as successful as possible. It's important to remember that all good advocacy starts right here on campus. We have all been elected or appointed to serve on behalf of our constituents, as Chair Lynn, previous speaker, just so delicately laid out for us. We represent the students of K-State, and we must do all we can to serve them well. This brings me to the third goal of our administration. The third platform that we ran on was responsibility. I'm frequently concerned as to whether or not I'm doing all I can to serve my fellow students of K-State. I know I'm not the smartest person in this room, nor am I the most creative or honestly the most qualified for this position. But I know this, I care and I care a lot. I care about this organization and each person in it. I care about the university and each student at it. Because of that care, I'm going to work hard and take responsibility for what happens here, because that's what leaders do. Leaders take responsibility, and that is what I challenge each of us here tonight to remember. There will never be a shortage of excuses, but may we be an SGA with a shortage of people willing to make them. You are such talented campus leaders, and you've been entrusted with a lot. What an honor. Accept that with humility and move forward, striving to be good and faithful servants of this spot we love full well. K-State, what I've laid before you tonight is not a set of promises, it is a set of challenges. The new frontier is here whether we seek it or not, and what lies ahead are unanswered questions, unsolved problems, and unapproached challenges. It would be easier to shrink from this new frontier, to look to the safe mediocrity of the past, but I call upon all of us to set aside our differences, to seek out common ground, to summon unity, that we may move forward as one university, one K-State. But understand this, Jess and I are just students. The executive branch is just a collection of students. Sure, Jess Ramirez has like 10 degrees and has done about everything in the world, but she's still just a student, and this is the Student Governing Association. Nobody will be perfect, but it takes all of us working together as a group of real people looking for real results. I stand for questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? I think that probably warrants a round of applause. As some of you know and some of you may not know, that was the first time that we have had a student body president give a State of the Association. It was a bill that we passed, and now that was the first one. So that was you are witnessing history. A very exciting time. Are there any further directors that would like to give a report? Emerging Leaders Coordinator Navarro. Sorry to make you follow that, Andrew.
Howdy, y'all. Today, I'm speaking as an Emerging Leaders Coordinator. For those of you guys who do not know me, makes sense because I was not here last semester. My name is Andrew Navarro. My pronouns are he, him. And that handsome young fellow over there is Jacob Hoffman. And he is my best friend, and he's also the other Emerging Leaders Coordinator. So pretty much, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. You can time me 2 minutes. 4 things I wanna talk about. First thing is, obviously, the referral. Please refer people. if you are a part of any campus organization and you see someone, you're like, wow, what a leader, what a great person. Maybe pop that email in. We'll talk to them. We'll let them know what's up. Second thing is if you are involved, obviously, with your colleges, if you know anyone from your college, I'm looking at you, HHS. I'm looking at everyone, actually. But if you have anyone from your college that wants to join, let them join. Drop them in the referral code. The third thing, and this is the last thing, sorority and fraternity. Who's in a sorority and fraternity? Raise your hand. Whoa, that's a lot of people. Okay, cool. So if you guys are in a fraternity and sorority, let me know if anyone in your fraternity and sorority wants to be involved. We haven't done too much correspondence with fraternities and sororities, so this would be a great opportunity. And I know that fraternities and sororities usually yield a lot of leaders as well. And the fourth thing is that we're going to be Southeast Missouri State on Saturday. Thank you so much.
He does not stand for questions. Are there any further directors that would like to give a report tonight? Awesome. Seeing none, we will move into introduction of legislation. Is there a motion to consider Bill 232404? Chair Long.
I move to consider Bill 4. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
Man, we need to get some SJ Kleenex boxes. Here we go. Bill 232404, amendments to the KSU SGA bylaws regarding local relations director. Authors Bentley J. Talbert and Hannah Hartzell. Sponsors Caleb Stout, Jess Binkley, and Jake Brown. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA, regularly makes changes to the governing documents to keep up with long-term needs. Whereas the position of local relations directors, unenumerated duties have increased over the years. Whereas there is a growing need for an external presence of KSU SGA, expanding its scope beyond local government and community organizations. This change is necessary to enhance the student government's outreach, image, and engagement both within and beyond the campus community. And whereas changing the bylaws is necessary to enhance KSU SGA's external affairs. Be it resolved that Section 1, Article 3, Section 7G of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA bylaws shall be amended to read as follows. The External Affairs Director who shall represent the interests and concerns of KSU SGA to external entities. 1. Provide updates to the student body president and student senate concerning external entities, including local governments, nonprofits, businesses, educational institutions, and other stakeholders. 2. Coordinate get out the vote efforts, voter registration efforts, and voter education efforts. 3. Serve on the City University Town Gown Committee. 4. Coordinate with shared governance groups and make recommendations on the City University Projects Fund. 5. Create and implement initiatives and partnerships that enhance KSU SGA's outreach and engagement with external stakeholders. Section 2. This legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Chair Blood.
What was the motivation into changing the title, the position?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just like a title change as you see, but like the main thing is whenever Marshall Stewart came to K-State, Caleb and Jess were really intrigued about like what his new position was going to all do, and then also with the restructuring of how the government relations office is going to look now. They thought that there should be a position in SJ that also handles with more external things, because as local relations is right now, and like the previous people that I've talked to in the position, they do a lot of good stuff, but there's definitely room for them to do more. And that was like the general consensus that I got from them. And there's a lot of opportunities, like what Caleb said, for us to be doing more when it comes to external entities that aren't just government.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Porter.
I feel like we fixed this in ops, but the G isn't supposed to be struck. Whenever you get a chance to fix that.
Oh, got it.
Are there any further questions or corrections? Emerging Leaders Coordinator Hoffman.
Question or correction. For the independent in like section 3, the like ISO is in parentheses like ISO. Would we want that for like ASO and SSO? Do we want to continue with that? What? That's embarrassing. My fault.
Chair Sushanik.
When you're doing get out the vote efforts, I know this might be farther down the pipeline, do you have any worry about getting around rules of impersonating an elected official while doing voter registration drives and possibly facing fines from that?
No. No. I know.
Registration drives in Kansas that have been halted because of this.
See, good to know. I mean, one thing that I know that has been like a routine thing is that the person works with, like the local relations works with like Wildcats Vote, and that organization does a bulk of it. It's more of SJ's job to get out the vote, and we work in coordination with those clubs and stuff. But I'd be talk to me afterwards about all that because that sounds quite interesting.
Awesome. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Next is Bill 232405. Is there a motion to consider? Chair Long.
Move to consider Bill 5. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chair Long.
I move to allow the office to summarize. I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Chair Blood.
I object.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded and objected to allow the author to summarize. So we are going to do a hand vote. If you would like the author to be able to summarize, please raise your placard now. That's going to be a majority. You may summarize.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Basically, this is pretty simple legislation that just kind of updates the wording from independent student organizations and departmental student organizations to sponsored and affiliated student organizations as it relates to the way that the Student Allocations Committee funds things. So, yeah.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Emerging Leaders Coordinator Hoffman.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm back. For the ISOs and what I said earlier. Do we want like the little bracket thing to make it easier later, so we don't have to change it later if we want later? Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't particularly care. So,
might as well, then, right?
Yeah, sure.
I will consider that a friendly amendment. Senator Glasscock.
On line 39, there's a double space between the B and student.
Good catch, thank you. 39. Are there any further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Is there a motion to consider Bill 2324-6? Chair Long.
I move to consider Bill 6. Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Bill 232406, amendments to the KSU SGA statutes regarding travel funding restrictions. Author Carson Queston sponsors the Student Allocations Committee. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA, should continue to review and update their governing documents, whereas allowing committees to use their discretion is imperative, and whereas the 60-40 split of funds is an arbitrary determination, be it enacted that Section 1, Chapter 21, Section 0103 of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU statutes, shall be amended to read as follows. Subsection E, travel. Travel shall be defined as a request for students to pay expenses related to transportation, lodging, and subsistence for Kansas State University students. Each campus-wide or college council organization may be allocated up to a total of $1,000 between their two travel projects per fiscal year. Each travel project allocation shall be limited to $100 per student traveling. Section 2, this legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Glasscock.
Even if the splitting rule is not or is struck from the laws, will there still be an attempt to keep some funding set aside for on-campus events, even if there's no strict necessity for it?
Right, I think on-campus events are certainly important, and I think that we should still continue to fund them, but I don't think that we should be hindered by this this split decision. But yes, I think that there still would be an effort to fund on-campus events, but I think that we get more travel allocations than we do for on-campus events. So,
Are there any further questions or corrections? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Take your placard. Okay, up next is Bill 232407. Is there a motion? Senator Griffith.
I move to consider Bill 7.
Second.
Senator Griffith.
I move to allow the author to summarize.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, you may summarize.
All right. So basically this bill is the fiscal year 2023 closing of accounts. And what that means is one of my legislative responsibilities as the Speaker pro tempore is to close the funding accounts from last school year. So all of these groups that you see had leftover funds that they were given by the Student Senate last year. So with those extra funds, we will now move them back into our reserve accounts. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, you may take your seat. We have now exhausted introduction of legislation. We will move into second open period. Do we have any second open period speakers? Senator Griffith.
Hello, it's me again, and if you remember anything about last semester, I'm sure you can assume exactly what I'm going to be doing here, but now I am the president of the Board Game Club. And as always, we are in fact having a meeting tomorrow from 7 to 10 in room 206 right here in the Student Union, and I would love for as many of you to show up as possible.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Are there any further second open period speakers? Okay, seeing none, we will go into reference of legislation.
Brady's gonna do shoutouts.
Senate shoutouts first.
All right. Shout out to Bentley for looking like Sheldon Cooper. Shout out to Nick for being in here and out there. Shout out to spelling errors, making our writing great. Mention the fact that writing is misspelled for the bit. Shout out to concrete, not cement. Go Jeremy, we'll miss you, but go crush judicial. Shout out to Peyton Lynn for making the prettiest PowerPoint presentations in SGA. To Caleb for looking so presidential. Shout out to Caleb for the grand entrance. EP for the epic presidential entrance. Carson for making the prez give a speech. Long live the State of the Association address. TFW, you read the wrong bill. Peyton for the great presentation. Thanks, guys.
Okay, now we will move into reference of legislation. We are going to send, it would be great if I had it up. We are going to send Bill 4 to the Senate Executive Committee, Bill 5 and 6 to the Allocations Committee, and Bill 7 to Senate Exec. Okay, and Brady will kick it off with our second roll call.
Abadir. Ayers. Biggs.
Yeah.
Blood.
President.
Broughton.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Coat.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Duntz.
Here.
Fogel.
Yes.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Still here.
Hartzell.
Here.
Heatherman. Hoffmans.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Kirkin. Kidd.
Here.
Kinsey.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher. Moore.
Yep.
O'Malley.
Here.
Oury.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Pondillo.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Rios.
Here.
Rivard.
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez. Rogers. Saya Carly.
Here.
Saya Nick.
Here.
Salmon.
Here.
Streetman.
Here.
Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
West.
Here.
Winger.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
And Zacko.
Here.
All right, thanks guys.
Seeking a motion, Senator Griffith.
I move to adjourn this meeting until Thursday, September 7th, same time, same place.
Awesome. See you all next week.
Yeah.